Good afternoon, everybody. This is G-Tag and Honest Gas, and here with our unpopular opinions on religion. How's everybody doing? Just so everybody knows, this is just something new we're trying out. So again, if you do want to join the discussion, it is an open forum. The only thing I do ask is that everybody who joins, one second, anyone who joins to respect all YouTube's terms and policies, please. You can always get the link to this room by going into Discord. That's my personal Discord. You can go in there, select the room that you want to go ahead and enter, and it'll give you the link to join this chat. So if you have any discussions that you want to go ahead and talk about in the future, you can leave it in that chat. And also you can join this chat right now and talk about religion. But go ahead, Honest Guest, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hey guys, I'm an avid religious studier. I studied religion. I guess that's the topic for the day. I studied religion. Hey, Noli D. I discovered religion when I was like 21, and then for like 5 or 6 years, I went by Honest Gas on Google Plus, learning all I can about not just religion, but from religious people themselves. So it's just like a hobby of mine. I got my religious paraphernalia collection in the background here, just by happenstance, and I'm ready to talk about religion.
Yeah. So, Honest Guest, a lot of people ask, what type of religion do you follow? If you follow any religion at all?
Right. Like the question is, what do I believe in, kind of thing?
Yeah. What do you believe in?
I believe that the answer is always a lot more boring than people want to admit, and an exciting answer is really, really tantalizing, and it's really, really hard to not grab it when you see it, kind of thing. So I've dealt with things. I used to believe that I could control electricity with my mind, and you wouldn't believe the loopholes and hoops that I jumped through to try and convince myself that it's true. So I've got some experience in faith, but more or less I'm on the outside looking in, a nice little I'm studying on the outside kind of thing.
Okay. And Richard Burke has the first question there. He's 71 years old, and since he was 10, he wondered as to why Adam and Eve had a belly button, which I actually would laugh at that, because that means they would have to have been born. So if they were the first men and women on Earth, how were they born?
Right.
Who birthed them?
Oh, that's one of the first.
So, Richard Burke, if you do want to join the chat, again, you can go into the Discord, and you can actually just click the link, throw you in here. You can actually discuss that with us. As to them having a belly button, I have no idea. I couldn't answer that, even if I had tried. But guys, go ahead.
Answering. I don't know. It's kind of silly. It's just it's a very clear sign that it was invented by humans when there are belly buttons, because they didn't know about that sort of thing back then, or they didn't think about it, I guess. So they, they just didn't expect us to figure that out later on in the world,
Or is that just like the guide to where the no-no zone is, where it starts,
You're like, what is that, the uncomfortable game? So
yeah.
You're not comfortable yet? Are you uncomfortable yet? Yeah, but yeah, it's always 42.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I guess in my points with religion, I believe in God. Okay, and my wife gives me slack about this here. I don't believe in the devil, and she says, well, so how do you believe in God but not the devil? And I say, well, I mean, I believe in Lucifer because that's in the Bible. Lucifer's in the Bible. The devil, strictly devil, is not in the Bible.
Right.
Lucifer, the fallen son of God, or aka Morning Star. I believe in Morning Star, but I don't believe in the devil. I believe there is God who says he's all powerful, all being, ruler of everything, but he gives you free will. And then there's his alter ego, which everybody says, oh, you're the devil. You know what? You've done bad in your life. Go to my basement, that hot boiling room downstairs. I believe if he controls everything and he's the only one to judge you, then how is how is Satan, Satan or the devil, punishing you when it's God's choice?
Right. All powerful. If he can make a kidney stone large enough that he can't pass, then he should be able to find an appropriate punishment, not just an eternal punishment. Let's see here. Oh man, my thing doesn't automatically scroll.
So Lisa Holmes says she's upset about people who claim to be Christians and support Trump. To me, you can support whoever you want. I know people who still support, things in the past that I don't agree with at all. I've seen shows. I say it's their right to believe whatever they want to believe. Who was that? My dear, know me. Yeah, but again, that whole discussion that's not for me to say as to why someone believes in something and believes in another thing. I don't get political with any religious beliefs.
Right.
That's on you.
Yeah, the two-part system's another topic all on its own. But they would look funny in bathing suits without a belly button. Although I wouldn't mind having no nipples and no belly button. That wouldn't be too bad. Although I guess I'd still like the belly button. And this is actually the garage. It's just I've moved from over there to over here. There's a black screen is still back there. It's just I moved all my bookshelf and stuff over here. Yeah, Cain took a wife. Yeah, there's so many loopholes just in the very first page of the Bible. Not loopholes, plot holes in the very first page of the Bible. I remember I was going to start a journal where I read the Bible and did commentary on it. I didn't get past the first 2 pages before I was like, this is going to be it's going to be a whole freaking novel of shit. Let's see. I have to catch up to the comments here.
So I see Nick the Ice Pick Rigatino says, "Fuck religion." Totally fine. You can say that all you want, man. But to me, somebody believes that it is their duty to just say fuck religion, honestly. So in a sense, that could be your religion as well, and I have no problem with that. So it's all good. But again, guys, if you guys want to join in on the chat, can join in on the chat. You have to join in on the chat.
And just remember G-Tag's boss. Let's see. Now, the thing about Trump, because I'm catching up to the comments here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm upset when people who claim to be Christians then support Trump. The thing about supporting one candidate or the other is that since that wall's not up yet, I'm disappointed. It's just like that was what I wanted it. That's what I would have voted him for. But it's more or less you can't. I guess what am I trying to say here? Then support Trump. Trump is evil. I don't know about Trump being evil. I think he's kind of. I wouldn't say dumb because obviously you can't be successful and dumb at the same time.
Hey, don't give people too much credit as to saying they can't be dumb and successful. I've seen a lot of dumb successful people. So.
Either way, I think of I'm a gay Republican atheist, so I'm kicked out of every group. So yes, I can only vote for the lesser of two evils when any chance in any case. So, but I don't want to get stuck on that for too long. Let's see.
Yeah. As one was my business partner, he said, you never want to be the smartest person in the room whenever you're dealing with the business because you want those smarter people to actually run it for you while you earn the money. So right. Hey, so again, he could be a smart idiot. You never know. But back to religion.
Yeah, for real. Let's get back to religion. I saw who said, why did both Lucifer and Jesus be called Morning Star in the Bible? It's probably because they're two different books. The First and Second Testament. and obviously they got all their material from the first one and every religion before that. So I'd say that's probably why. I love the story of Job, though. Like, I think that's the biggest uh, um, argument against the Bible is the story of Job. Because you can be religious without believing in the Bible, because the Bible's a book. You can still believe in a God without the Bible, or any.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think the reason why I only have like an open, you know, I don't know how to say it, open book when it comes to like religion is I used to study like Greek mythology, a whole bunch of Viking, mythology and stuff like that, Nordic mythology. And I used to study, what is it? My favorite mythical creature in a god sense was the Japanese mythology, which was Raiju and Raijitsu. And the story of Raiju and Raijitsu is during stormy nights, the families would sleep on their bellies, right? They would sleep on their bellies. Even if you're pregnant, you'd sleep face down. And that was to protect your kid as, from Raiju and Raijitsu.
Right.
So what happens is Raiju, the god of thunder, and his pet Raijitsu, little wolf. He'd go out, sniff around the trees, and sometimes strike the trees with his paws, and that'd be like a little thunder strike that would hit the tree.
Huh.
And that's what they believed. But he said at the night he'd go around sniffing for places to shelter himself. So the story is he usually placed himself in the wombs of mothers who are expecting children.
Okay.
And he'd sleep inside the mother's belly, otherwise devouring the child inside. So the way to protect themselves is they slept on their bellies. Even I don't think it's safe to sleep on your belly as a pregnant woman. I don't know the full
And I don't think that would
story
sound.
of it, but Raiju, he would then call for his beast to come back. He said, "Hey, where's my beast? Come back, Raijitsu." Right? Hey, I need you back. And for him to call for his pet back, he would strike lightning on top of Raiju, right? So they believed if you don't sleep on your belly, and that's how I think it's like, religion is so crazy that people will believe that if you don't sleep on your belly when the rain is pouring and thunder is going on,
Right.
a wolf, a wolf demon, not even demon, a wolf god will crawl into your belly, eat your child, and then his master will strike you with lightning to call his beast back, killing you in the process, but yet him having a good time, that was it. I don't understand it, but that's how deep religion is to
Right.
some people, and I think it's crazy in some cases, but also inspiring that people can go into such depths of believing such things.
Right.
And I'm not discrediting them. I'm just saying I don't believe that would happen.
Right. Yeah. Well, it's not even the craziest thing I've ever heard. It's the first I've heard that. That's a really interesting thing because I don't think I've studied a lot of Japanese thing. I did all the normal ones: Norse, Greek, Roman, and a few African tribes, which is actually one of my favorites. Is an African tribe, but I'll get into that later.
Ken says this sounds like an episode of
Ken!
Inuyasha.
Awesome. No, but probably one of the craziest superstitions I've ever heard was a very famous baseball incident where he was even a fan of the team that lost, right? It was like the ending game. This was the scoring point. Everybody, this was the determination between who was going to win and who was going to lose, right? And all the guy had to do was catch the ball, and it would have made the other team out, and they would have won, right?
Yeah.
A fan reached out, right, and the glove is like right here, and the guy's hand is like right here. He reaches out, fumbles it, so he smacks it from the guy's glove, fumbles it, and someone else catches it, right? But the guy who fumbled the ball was like deemed like he had got death threat, like legitimate death threats, and the whole world came down on him. And even when I was watching this this documentary on it, they bugged him again 10 years later, and he's just like, why the hell are you guys, leave me alone, The baseball team, right, that lost. Okay, so I think everybody knows that baseball has a lot of superstition, or sports in general, but baseball in particular is a very superstitious sport. And so they blamed the ball on the loss, right? The baseball. And the guy who actually caught the ball sold it back to the team for $1 million, and they literally boiled it in water and ate it with spaghetti. They ate the ball. Like, people sleeping on their belly is silly too, but they freaking ate the ball because they thought the ball itself was a curse, and they had to get rid of it because it would mean that they would lose every game after, or they'd have this curse of losing all the time. So, people want to, people who even are religious will sometimes laugh at other religions, being like, "What? This guy believed he could control electricity with his mind? What was he thinking? He wasted his 6, 7, 10 years of his life believing this nonsense." But at the same time, they'll believe something like, I don't know, polygamy is a good thing or something like that. It's just all about perspective, and that also goes into politics too. With the perspective.
Yeah. So I see Noli had a question about the Job, as to why. Let me see if I can pull that back up here.
Hang on. Oh, yeah, it was the Job thing. Why would they make a deal with each other? It makes for a great story, I would say. That's probably why they put it in there.
And
the idea is because it's like with the story of where he is told to kill his son. I'm trying to remember. I haven't opened a Bible in years. It's like the story where God told him to kill his son, and he was like gonna do it, and God was saying, "Wait, hey, jinx, or not jinx, but oh my bad, I crossed my fingers. You don't really have to do it," kind of thing. It is a way to show whoever's reading it, the person who's being groomed into becoming a Christian is meant to take this story and interpret it as, wow, this guy was so devoted that he was willing to kill his son. I think that the story originally was that he did, and he was praised for it because he did what God told him to, but they probably had to kind of dumb it down, not dumb it down, but lighten it up a tiny bit and give it a kind of a good story. Oh, the kid survived too. I think the original story was he killed his son, because back in those days, their superstition was so high that they thought that it was a curse that your building fell down, right? They thought that your building falling down wasn't a structural problem, it was a curse problem. So they had all these kids, right? Kids were wild animals at the time, I'm sure. And they would literally stuff kids at the bottom of poles as a sacrifice to the structure of the building. So, we're talking about in the days before they knew about bacteria, before they knew about,
yeah,
holes doesn't make poles standing.
Every time I read the Bible, I always look at it and it's like, man, God has such a fucking ego.
Well, that was what was so great about the Greek gods, right? Is that they didn't tend to be capricious or all-knowing or all virtuous. They literally had earthly wants and needs, like sex and drinking and partying.
So speaking about Greek gods, because I used to study Greek mythology, and I haven't dabbled in a long time, so I'm a little bit hazy. But here's one story that I remember specifically was Athena and the story of the arachnid.
Yeah.
Now, if you know about that story, it is a fucking vicious, awesome story. So there was this sewer, right? She would mend these wonderful weaves, right? And she'd make them look beautiful, and people would come across the world to get her wardrobes that she make, or even rugs or stuff like that. And she claimed to be the best in the world. I'm the best in the world. No one can topple my skill. That
angered somebody.
Yeah, that angered Athena. Right? So Athena came down she says, "Oh, so this person says she's the best in the world. Okay, so I'm gonna challenge her skills." Her being a god, she comes down there and says, "Okay, so you claim to be the best weaver in the world. Let's see your skills, and I challenge you. But I tell you, if you fail, then I will have your soul forever. I'll force you to weave forever." And what happened is, the girl made her, tapestry. She made her nice little gown, and the whole town, right in front of everybody, they're like, "Oh wow, that's amazing. That's beautiful. That's great." And Athena says, "Okay, that's it." Reaches into the sky, grabs the sky, and
Yeah.
and mends it into this beautiful, huge, huge like sheet across that can stretch across the world,
Yeah,
right?
like kind of godly garb.
Yeah, exactly. This godly garb, and she the girl, she just fell into tears, and she realized she lost it. She can't. There's no way she can come back from that. She lost, right? There's no way that she can combat a god compared to her human abilities of willing. And
it would have been like, "Oh my god," or "A god." Oh god,
yeah,
I'm so sorry. I shouldn't have said that.
and in the story, it's so dark. It's so dark that they say the girl who challenged her to the who challenged her to the what is it? The sew off. I'm gonna call it the sew off.
Yeah, the devil went down.
Her skin turned completely black, like as dark as you can see. She sprouted multiple. She sprouted multiple eyes, and then she sprouted multiple hands, and her body shrunk down, and a rope strung into the sky, and she was forced to weave a web, and they said that that's her soul. Every time you see a spider, that's supposed to be the story of Athena and the arachnids. It's that Athena created the spiders out of this one lady, and those are her offspring.
That's so cool. I love stories like that.
Yeah, I mean, those type of stories, I was like, oh, and that when I was younger, I would like look into like Greek mythology, stuff about like. I was like, man, dude, like, sounds like a bad reaction to LSD. Exactly. Picture if you're like taking acid and like somebody's telling you this stuff, like, dude.
Well, stories like that, they were the textbooks of the day. Much like the Bible is a guide to life, it is one of my favorite Greek stories, or allegory. I think it's called an allegory. One of my favorite Greek stories is about a little girl who runs into the woods, has a frolic through the woods and gets lost, right? And she's lost for however long. I'll just kind of skip through the story because, they write them so long. And she eventually gets hungry. And this is where the part of the story gets really detailed, where it takes from a nursery story style to a kind of a documentary, like a documentation style, where it describes these berries to the color, seeds, the leaves on the plant, whether it has barbs or not, that kind of thing. And it describes the plant. And so she's hungry, and she's an innocent child, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And she eats the berries, and she sleeps forever, and she becomes part of the forest, kind of thing. And the story isn't about the girl. It's very little to do with the girl. The girl probably never existed to begin with, although I'm sure it's just based on actual something actually happening. It was meant to tell you what berries not to eat. So the story itself is just fluff, while the knowledge itself is actually what kind of berries she ate and what it did to her, kind of thing. So I always love those kind of stories. I mean, the spider thing is just an origin story, so it doesn't really offer much in terms of like usable knowledge, but it's sort of the same way. Let's see, I've read the Bible 3 times, only 3.
You gotta read that 56 times, Noe.
Right. So how many times you get a free pass to heaven is how many times you read the Bible.
So
I actually find the Bible really poorly written. It's I guess it's fair because it was before our normal way we do now. But
So when I look at the Bible, and I look at the Bible, and there's it, my friend. He said the best way for him to describe it is it's about a man who has all power and has the ability to destroy and create,
Right.
coming into sense with his humanity, right?
Right.
Right. Basically saying, that he wanted to be worshipped and wanted to be all powerful and want everybody to know how powerful he is. But yet in the end, he, realized, okay, maybe I should give these people free will. And that was his description of it. I sort of agree with it.
Right.
Me personally, like I read the Bible every now and then. I not so often, and I couldn't read off a verse to you off the Old or New Testament.
Right.
I couldn't quote it. I'm not gonna lie. I'm to be straight honest. If you gave me a Bible and said verse, John 3:6, fuck it, I don't know. It's done. Whatever, you figure it out. But what I can say is that what I've taken from the Bible is that not to worship idols, not to if I am to pray, I pray where I choose to pray.
Right.
I don't go to church because in the Bible the church doesn't exist. So I think most churches are scams, right?
They're what do they call those? They're dang it. They're called dang it. It's like a club. It's a recreational club. It's people pay a service fee for being able to use the building, but it's kind of required. So, I mean, you're right in the sense that a lot of religion is a scam in that some of the people are actually in on it, but not everybody's in on it. You know what I mean? Like most 99.9% of Christians believe in the Bible kind of thing. Like whatever degree that belief may be, it is they're coming in later than the people who originally started it. You know what I'm saying?
Lala's de Colorado says she was excommunicated. The light of Colorado. So I know a little bit of, I believe that's right. The light of Colorado. I'm not going to go ahead and get into it. I'm not going to say something I'm probably speaking incorrectly of. But I noticed that if none of y'all have seen the live stream where I was walking through Dallas, I was doing a tour through Dallas. I went to the church, the Dallas what's that big church they have down there, that super mega church they have down there. And I was commentating to my stream. I like the older building because I like character compared to the new building. Yeah. What building do you guys like? Do you like this building or that building? This new neon purple, greenish building. And I got trespassed from that church, right? For simply taking pictures, right? Left and right. Which one do you guys like better? And in doing so, the guy came out of the church and he was ready to try and go hands-on on me.
Right.
And I was like, wait a minute. First of all, if I get assaulted by a churchgoer, right? I'm going to think, what are they teaching in there? If it's God's forgiveness, then they're doing a poor job at it. And two, if it's to love thy neighbor, you're doing a really bad job at it. Whatever. But I can't believe it because I thought I was going to be okay, especially seeing like across the way there was like an Asian couple and they're just taking all the pictures, the same pictures I was taking, and I was so blown away. I was like, man.
I'd been to the same exact place, and I was wearing a trench coat, goggles, black makeup, freaking nail polish and shit. Nobody ever came out and bothered me then. And when I got into auditing, I really thought that my image might give me an interesting reaction because I knew I wasn't going to just change the way I looked to do it. So I was like, okay, we'll just see how they react to people who are dressed like I do, and never had a problem. It's just like, okay, all right, yeah. Of course, I also filmed differently too. I don't think uh, activism just isn't for me. I changed my mind too often and too quickly to have a stance. You know what I mean?
Well, again, like who is it? I talked to James Freeman. I talked to Furry Potato. I talked to a lot of everybody about like my continuation on auditing. I said I'm pretty much done. I don't really do it. I don't. I mean, like, there's no purpose of it. I mean, I get contacted simply by just doing photography to begin
Right.
with. So it's like I don't have to go to a police station. I don't have to go to
Right.
a library or anywhere, a government building. It's just if I exist and I know that I'm getting contacted and I go. Only time I go live is like, I'm like, shit's about to go down. Like, oh shit, shit's about to go down.
No,
So
I mean, you'd think that wearing a reflective vest would keep anyone from bugging you.
well, you think being out in the daytime.
Right.
But you know what? I
Yeah,
laugh, man, because the majority of people who contact me, always say, I hope, you go to hell. Or I'm like, man, you hope I go to hell for taking photos? God damn. Like, shit.
because he knows, right? He knows you're gonna go to hell, man.
I'm going to go to hell, man.
He's got a connection.
I mean, you know what? If I go to hell and I see God there, I'm going to ask him nicely, hey, man, can I go upstairs instead of staying in your basement? I'm tired of this basement. I really don't like it.
If I wound up in heaven, I'd be like, can I go to hell, please? I don't want to be here.
I want to get out of this hot ass basement, please.
Awful. All this peace and love and happiness and Christians.
But no, like
I'm not in the right place here. Although I'd probably find enough gay people. Hold on, I gotta catch up on the comments.
Speaking of
and Noli D. First thing that popped in my head was Adam Ant. I always love that. I've been doing these eye makeup for a long time. It used to come out to like here, but I narrowed it down a little bit.
So, like, speaking of like the Bible and homosexuality,
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you really think that focusing so much on like homosexuality is to be like, we're gonna, you can't come to this party, bro. You're like, get out of here, bro. You gotta be out of here. You can't be here.
Well, the main thing, right, in anything really, especially with things as big as that, is money. Gay people don't produce babies. People who don't produce babies aren't going to make Christians. So that's a big deal to them. And a lot of it, because they come up with excuses for a lot of things, like circumcision. They've been doing circumcision for a long time, and the only reason that it even exists is to stifle pleasure during sex. And whatever excuse they come up with, that's the reason why they do it. And it has everything to do with, you better stay in line, because we're gonna come after you if you don't adhere to us. And because we're the law, we're the Christians, we're the ones ruling the world at whatever time, you have to go by it, because the mob is going to apply those rules, whether they're law or not. The mob is going to rule. And we even see that today with all these stupid riots. They're withholding the body cam image, and I almost guarantee it's because if they see the guy making a big fuss with the police, people are going to be even more angry. So they'll manipulate the situation and only show you what they want you to see, because in their mind it has a lot to do with crowd control kind of thing, damage control. kind of thing. Because this is not a black or white issue, and I don't mean to trail off of religion again, but this is definitely not a black or white issue. This is a accountability issue. But we don't have to talk about
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Well, I want to say that I want to save that discussion for the next.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
so we'll talk, guys. We're gonna talk about the riots and everything that's going on. I just don't want to. Right now, I want to keep on religion and
Yeah,
whatever.
I'm referencing the animalistic tendency, though.
Oh,
Is
yeah.
that like for a good example is evangelicals, right? They can't do their extreme stuff here, right? Because here we have religious liberties and rights protected people who don't want to be in your religion, kind of thing. So they go to places like Africa, where there's essentially almost no foothold of religion in that area native, right? So they go to those kind of places where they're almost vulnerable to a new ideology, and all they did was say being gay is a sin. They didn't tell them go out and murder all the gay people you see. They just said if you want to get into heaven, you want to please God, right? And God does not like gay people, right? So somehow or another that translated into I'm going to go out and murder every gay person I see. Is God Loves Uganda Hates Gays is a great documentary on that, where they essentially just eradicated the gay population in a matter of months because they pulling them from their homes, slaughtering them in the street like crazy. And it had nothing to do with anybody telling them to go out and murder gay people. They just came up with that themselves. So when somebody who has power and has something dangling over somebody who is desperate says something, that desperate person is likely going to follow those orders, kind of thing. So we're all running. What did I say the other day? I said all I see is animals running around in people clothes, and it shows. Or no, people are just animals running around in people clothes, and it shows. That's what I said. It was about the riots.
Yeah, and when we address the riots, I say there's blatant disregard to or blatant people just blatantly ignoring what they see happening, and which is why I no longer try and justify anything that I do now. I tell people I don't even have to explain I can explain what I did and what I do in my everyday life, but there's always going to be that one group of people who doesn't care about your opinion and just wants to make that statement, right? And they'll do anything to get a reaction out of you. So I no longer talk to people on the road whenever I go out, unless if I'm actually looking to talk to somebody. I'll hold a sign out saying, "Hey, don't kill your babies. Abortion is not humane. Don't do it." We can have a discussion because I'm looking for a discussion, right? Now, if I'm walking around taking pictures and I'm speaking to you in Afrikaans or even in Arabic, if I say, Allahu Akbar, and I walk off, guess what I'm doing? I'm not trying to talk to you. I'm trying to say Allahu Akbar. That means God is great, and I'm walking away, right? If I'm speaking a different language to you, it means I'm walking away, right? And that's because I try and immerse myself in other languages and other religions. I went to a Buddhist temple last year. Sorry, going crazy. Last week I was out looking at the other temple down here, but last year, and I walked through their whole area, and they told me about their religion and how they do things, and they're very peaceful people. They don't wish to hurt anybody. Anybody's welcome on their area. They just hope that you come by, pray, discuss with the monks who are there, and it's a very awesome looking place. And I took some wonderful pictures in that area.
Our Yarnborough, that's the enemy will want to appear humble. Humble words distract people's rage and do nothing to address the cause of this rage. The system allows special treatment for public officials while they murder. I think that would be the root of the problem is no accountability. That's for sure. And quota hiring. Quota hiring is also a big problem.
Noli D says she would take Allahu Akbar as the opposite of her wanting to talk to me.
Right? I'd be like, holy shit, is he about to explode?
No, don't do it, sir. No, Noli's a great person. I love Noli. Noli's awesome. Noli is awesome. Noli has been supporting me, the whole community, for a long time. I mean, I think the first time I noticed Noli, actually noticed Noli, was when I was giving out waters to the homeless and in downtown Dallas, and a fight broke out, and I was like, oh fuck, man. Like, oh fuck. And I was upset about it. I was actually really upset. When I ended the stream, I was like, man, I can't believe that shit fucking happened, man. And I was like, I don't even know if I want to go back out there right now. But I just didn't stream anymore when I keep going out there and give out waters. So I'm still doing that. But that broke my heart. I was so upset because I was like, man, I'm out here trying to do a good thing. And now I don't know if if the good thing I was doing was the cause of the fight. And luckily I talked to the guy who got into the fight. He was like, nah, man, he's just bullshitting, blah, 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 blah. I was like, okay, he's bullshitting. Y'all have some prior beef. Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to clear my conscience because I was like, I don't want to come out here and try and do a good thing and making it worse because, in the long run, I'd have to stop doing it. I'd be like, man, I got to stop doing it because if it's causing this much chaos, I can't do it.
I don't know if this is a phrase, but it's don't get between two dogs fighting or something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that, in the sense that if you don't know the situation, it's like road rage. I never honk my horn because I don't know if it's fucking crazy, leave you to it. Of course, there's always circumstances. If I'm the only one that can help, kind of thing, blah blah blah. But obviously, if getting away is possible, that's always what I want to do. That's why I got my mace and my I was carrying my baton. I guess it's legal to carry my ass.
You can carry it. You can.
Yeah, I just
they pass it.
So.
Yeah, they pass the baton, and I usually don't carry my firearms with me because already carrying the camera apparently is like people take it as a threat, and whenever cops show up, they say, "Well, you must have been antagonizing," or I was like, "Come on, man!" So
people get when did people lose all the hair on their balls? They see someone with a gun or something in their hand, and they're just,
yeah. It gets to the point where it's like you actually see what I'm doing, and whatever. But let's get back to religion.
Yeah. Okay. What were we talking about again?
But there's plenty of things. I think the guy I was talking to who's going to join us, but again, he never answered. I'm gonna go ahead and put you guys a link into his channel. But he was a very nice guy when I talked to him. Again, over the internet, I don't know how nice anybody really is, but he was a very good guy. We talked about what we think marriage is. And on your opinion, what would you think? Why is marriage so important? In the religious aspect, like why would you think it's so important?
Well, certainly, I would say that the method has some. What am I trying to say? There are definitely benefits to marriage, and I don't mean taxes. I mean child rearing, in the sense that, like with birds, a lot of times birds will actually, like one female will have like 3 or 4 males taking care of the babies, and all 3 of the males think they're their babies. So I think that as many adults in a child's life as possible is always the ideal situation. In terms of marriage, though, and in the gay aspect, I don't really necessarily think that gay marriage is I'm not for it because marriage is about child rearing. There's nothing. It doesn't have to do with love or taxes. Even though I don't think we should necessarily give benefits for marriage, because marriage in a lot of ways is bad as well. I think that if two people can be together for their whole lives, that's great. I just don't think marriage is necessary for that. But I will say that marriage is also a very important aspect for capitalism, though, in that in a lot of traditions, capitalism is the main reason for it. We have Easter, and we spend all our money on things that are only useful for one freaking day, but we still spent that money. That money stimulates the economy and it gives people jobs. Just like with weddings, some people spend hundreds of millions of dollars on weddings, hiring dozens, if not hundreds, of people to take care of these weddings. So I would say marriage as a tax thing is not necessarily all that great, because it kind of, I mean, it's good too. There's not really, I wouldn't fight against it, is what I should say. But I guess in terms of marriage for gays, I think that it's a Christian thing. That's like if you want to be together for your life, if you want to exchange rings, fine. If you want to get married, you can do that too. You don't need to be a Christian to get married. I guess for me, people who say no, you can't get married because you're gay, who screw them. People who say you should have to be married because or that you should have to force people to marry gays even if they don't want to. I don't think that's right either. So I guess my stance on anything gay is that if the bakery doesn't want to bake your cake, go somewhere else. Uh, I don't understand, because in fact we could actually talk about that in the religious sense. Is that much in the way that Christianity is a religion, even though they have like a book with set rules and stuff like that, don't necessarily have to have a book to have a religion. And I've actually been seeing that a lot with the atheist community, is that they're more like a religion now, a political religion in a sense. Is that they spend most of their days, I'm talking about the community, not necessarily individual atheists, but people who are part of atheist communities, if you understand my meaning.
Yeah.
That they're always trying to go out and do exactly what the gay people do, is that they say, I'm being oppressed and I deserve equal rights, but they're not actually asking for equal rights. They're asking for special rights. And I don't agree with special rights, even for Christians, so it's like, unless everybody has their own special rights, I guess, but even that's not necessarily fair. I think that the atheist and the gay community would do themselves really well if they'd stop being so annoying and confrontational when it's not necessary, like with transgenderism and things of that nature. I think trans is a little bit more extreme than the gay community, but it's in the same thing. So it's like, I don't know. I don't mean to ramble or anything. I just think it's an interesting topic.
Yeah. So how you doing, Rika? I think I spoke to Rika about the marriage thing a while back, and I think in one of my live streams, she said, and Rika, don't quote me on it. I'm just trying to remember. She said, her and her husband have been married, but in the long run, if she had to redo it, she wouldn't. She'd just skip all the paperwork and just be with her husband.
Right.
Because again, if I'm thinking right, if I remember right, it's just a way for the government to know who you're sleeping with. And I'm like, you know what? Yeah, I kind of agree. That
Really, everybody does get offended.
Marriage is just a way for the government to know who you're sleeping with.
Yeah. Right. That's a good point. Yeah. When you put the government in your bedroom, that's no fun at all. Nobody should be doing that. Of course, nobody should have a Facebook either. Yeah. If we're talking about privacy here. Yeah. And Noli D, you make a good point. I think it is, everybody has their offended people, that's for sure, or people who are easily offended. I almost feel like I grew up almost behaving left, that I was very left for a long time, but I guess I didn't realize it I don't know. I remember hating Bill Clinton. I guess I don't know. I just don't think I'm either left or right. All I can do is vote for the lesser of two evils in my for me, because nobody's on my side.
But yeah, would y'all have any other questions in regards to religion, guys? Because I think this is a good conversation. If you guys want to join the conversation, I can go ahead and send you guys a link. You guys can join in on this chat. You don't have to share your face. You can just share your voice. We can have a discussion. Again, this is just an open discussion for anybody who probably has an unpopular discussion against others. I mean, it's all great to just get it out there and just say what your opinion is. So I'm going to go ahead and take this link here, and we're going to share it again. Here we go.
So I was trying to think of anything on my shelf that I would want to share.
Yeah, go for it.
Here's something cool. I actually have a cross.
Nice. Is that one handmade?
This is a cross that was essentially I inherited. It wasn't necessarily inherited through a will, but I wound up with it after my good friend Susan died, and she was very religious.
Oh, great. Sorry, guys. We got Noli in the chat. We're going to go ahead and add her in.
Hey, how's it going, Noli?
Hi, it's going. It's going. I'm still here.
Hey, Noli, how you doing?
Lovely. I'm doing lovely.
Great. So did you have any questions for us today?
Well, for me, as far as religion goes, I really do mean what I say. I'm at a point in my life where I think Jesus is awesome. He's the shit. He was one cool dude. I would hang out with him any day of the week. God's scary. He's like Tony Soprano, man. I don't even want to mess with him. Like, I don't even know if he is the right side of, things.
Right. Especially if you read the Bible.
He sends an angel to go and have him whacked. If you don't agree with him, or if you do something that displeases him, he has you whacked, or he burns your city to the ground, or
or even
if you don't have the right mound to go and do like so many sacrifices, so many, even though your family is starving, you don't do them, you're going to hell. I mean, come on, that's some scary shit right there. And would be his children that way unless he was a narcissistic, psychopath.
Right.
Yeah. I've agreed. This is the reason why I say my thought process it's my theory, right? That this is why I say God is actually Satan, because what was it? Whenever the people would put the markings on the doors, remember that story where he put the markings on the doors, so that where the spirits would pass by and say, "Okay, put the markings on," right?
Story of Moses.
Yeah, God killed a bunch of kids to prove a point.
Yeah.
And
you can't blame the devil for it. You can't say the devil made me do it. No.
He really gambled on a man's life just because, hey, I bet you he'll still worship me over you. He ain't gonna follow you. Go ahead, do your worst to this man. Do anything, but you can't take his life. But you you destroy his life and make him so miserable he wishes he was dead.
Yeah, and then in the end,
gambling. God was gambling.
And in the end, he never did anything wrong, and he was still forced to admit that he did wrong before anything went right again. And it wasn't even like he got his original kids back. He got a new
wife, new kids,
new wife, new house. So he lost everything, got horrible boils on his skin. His friends were ragging on him about not admitting that he had done wrong, even though he did nothing wrong, and he still got all screwed up. But the story, though, what you're supposed to get from this story, though, is that even though he did nothing wrong, even though he lost everything, even though his kids were murdered, his livestock was slaughtered, all that stuff was done to him. He still repented and believed in God, despite all that had been done to him, and that's supposed to be a good thing. That's it. That's what we teach children to be a good thing.
That Bible is a way for tyrants to keep us underneath their boot.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't take it doesn't. You don't have to teach kindness. That's the sort of thing that comes naturally. It's the
I agree.
meanness that comes. Meanness comes naturally too, I guess. I just I just don't think you need religion to be good, or at least to teach good.
I've always said if you do things that are good, because you say, this is what God would want, I say that makes you even a worse person than rather just doing good just because it makes you feel better. Because you're only doing good because you're afraid of the dude upstairs. That's it. Like, you're afraid of the dude upstairs. Like, man, if he didn't exist, man, I'd be fucking up so much shit right now.
We were just talking about that, about how if I wasn't a Christian, I'd be a serial killer.
Yeah.
Like, okay, all right, I'll see you at church.
Yeah, and I thought about that when I was like young. I was like, man, it's like, you're lucky I'm a Christian. I was like, so what you're saying is if you weren't a Christian, you just murder me right here, right now. Oh my God.
And most wars have been started over religion, beliefs, values, that are not the same. But if you read each person's religious text, they're the same. God damn it!
Yeah. Punishment in this life is scary enough, in the sense that if I eat somebody, people aren't going to like that. People are going to try and stop me, especially the person I'm eating. So the punishment in this life, the immediate one, is always what keeps me from doing shit. It's just like it's rude to eat people.
It's really rude.
Yeah, it's like.
Yeah, I always say it's like, if I think the Bible is just trying to weigh your your own morality, right? Like, what you think is moral. I think it's immoral to inflict harm on somebody. I think it's immoral to steal from somebody. I think it's immoral to, just in fact, just do something against somebody against their will.
Right.
But according to this Bible, it's like, some people believe, well, it's immoral if you don't accept my word. It's immoral if you don't accept my judgment. It's immoral if you don't accept my acts of, Christ-like, which, again, I'm not saying Christ was, again, everybody thinks whenever you read the Bible, God is good. God is good. God is really.
It's like, have you read?
Like Lily D, she is like, he's like the Soprano, right? He's there to fucking whack you. He don't. If you don't follow his rules, he's there to make sure it's set straight and make an example of you. And, I see a lot of people following that method of, you didn't follow my rules, so I'm going to make an example out of you.
Right.
And I think whenever it comes to like auditing, when I first started watching audits, I kind of thought back like to the Bible. It's like people have a godlike complex, right? People have a godlike complex to where they believe, like, if you don't do what I'm telling you to do, then you're in the wrong, and I have to make an example of you. What was it? You didn't build a boat, you didn't take my warning, so I'm gonna flood the earth. Right? And so Noah,
I'm gonna abort every single baby on the planet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The murder boat. You better get the murder boat together because I'm gonna flood the whole earth.
Right? Who in their right mind saved mosquitoes? Seriously.
That was stupid.
And humans. Somebody actually saved humans.
So that's another thing in the Bible this is why I never say the Bible's real. Right? The Bible's not real. Because again, if Adam and Eve are the only two people on the earth, right?
Right.
All right, and they created man. Right? That means that everybody in this world is a brother and sister. Second off, the earth was flooded, right? The earth was flooded. Right? Supposedly. Only 2 of each animal was allowed on the boat, right? So again, that means Adam and Eve were the first man and woman on earth, making everybody essentially brother, sister, fucking grace. But they all were, again, wiped out of existence, according to the flood, wiped out, and then who did Moses? Who was on the boat? Who was on the ark?
A 900-year-old man and his family.
Right. So how are they recreated? How do we repopulate Earth?
How did they the animals? Right? Like, how did they get penguins and kangaroos and Tasmanian devils? You know, and the dinosaurs. Don't forget the dinosaurs. You know. What I find funny about the flood story is that somehow or another they had worldwide news. They had the ability to know that the whole world had flooded, and they were getting news from
flood story.
Yeah, they were getting news from Maya that they were drowning, and they were getting news from Antarctica that they were drowning, and and Africa and England and stuff like that. So somehow they knew that the whole world had flooded, And
I'm just wondering where in the story where they missed where, like, he found all 7 Dragon Balls and wished everybody back. Like, that's what I'm wondering is, like, when in that story was that missed? Because I found all 7 Dragon Balls, wished everyone back. God forgive me. Don't do it again, please. I was a fuck up.
We had to reverse Thanos' snap.
I do believe that there are good lessons in the Bible, and there are many good things in there. That's one of the reasons why I say Jesus is cool as fuck, man. He was a rebel. He knew how to live.
For sure, I would agree that there are some. I don't know about a lot.
There's a lot of horrible, just hateful, inhumane.
Well, how do you feel about hell, Noli?
Okay, so ideologically, I guess because I
feel it like this.
I don't know. I think that there's a price to pay.
Right.
As far as like universal energy or oneness or whatever you put out there, you're gonna get it back one way or another. And
Right.
It's not gonna be good if you're not putting out good.
Right.
And that's just something we're all gonna have to accept.
Right.
What hell is like? I don't know. Is it really a physical place, or is it a state of mind, or is it a timeout? That, or is this it? I don't know.
Is it eternal or anything like that kind of thing? No, I agree. I only ask because hell wasn't a thing until Jesus came around. The New Testament is where hell came into the picture.
Kind of goes back to the Morning Star question.
Oh, the Morning Star is a good topic actually, because it wasn't just it wasn't just Jesus and the devil that were the Morning Star. Shiva was the Morning Star. Thor was the Morning Star. Saturn.
Yeah, I think it's just a different name for the same dude.
Yeah, Thoth. Thoth was also the Morning Star. Anything that has a died and came back 3 days later is more or less a Jesus story.
Keep the conversation going. I'm gonna be right back.
But the Jesus story is actually the newest one. All of those gods I just listed off, they were all born on December 25th. They all cured the blind, healed the cured the maimed, or whatever. Walked on water, turned water to wine, and born of a virgin. All of those things were from Shiva, Thor, Saturn, Jesus, and Thoth. So there's 5 gods that have the exact same backstory, and Jesus is the newest one. So what does that what does that tell you? What do you think about that? Is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, I think it's interesting. I would like to say it's same person, different incarnation. Maybe I don't know. I think that the Hindu religions are amazing. They're so cool. They have the best stories too. The best stories. But I mean, like I'm cool with saying I don't know, but I do feel there is something more than us. Whether it is us, but collectively, and the whole like oneness thing,
right?
Or I don't know, but I do know that
No, that's a good answer.
It cannot be recycled like through different regions. The
Right.
way it was, in the times that it was, never connected to each other. And
Right.
unless
Thousands of years
we were all connected, or there's some truth there, but it's been whitewashed.
Well, I think we talked about this right at the beginning of the video. Was that a lot of the times the answer is just so boring that it has to be kind of spiced up a tiny bit. So, like with my electricity thing, that I used to believe I could control electricity, I wasn't just lying to everyone else. I was lying to myself about my experiences, about what sort of things happened when they happened. I used to say I would get electrocuted, like shocked by trees. That's ridiculous. I mean, for one, it never happened, and two, that's impossible. It would have to be some pretty crazy circumstances to get shocked by a tree. And I would say those things because it was more interesting than the truth. The truth is, it didn't happen, and that's boring. So, a lot of the time, especially with these stories that are thousands of years old, they're not the same stories they were. They're spruced up.
Yeah, look at the pharaohs in Egypt and stuff. You know damn well that, in the stories they sound like a badass, but when you look at their skeleton, they could barely walk.
Right. Yeah, they're like 5'7". The tallest people were like 5 feet tall. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah. So I mean, yeah. A way to kick you out the campfire, late at night while the adults go do their thing.
Yeah. Their thing. The ritualistic practices of drinking and fornicating.
That's all them fornicators.
That's for you, Paul.
Well, that's even today. I honestly, if we were talking about stuff that I believe, like I honestly believe that every generation, they just simply have to learn the exact same thing the previous generation had to learn. So we're just in a different era experiencing the exact same thing, as 30 million years ago, or whatever. Still hungry, still pain, still death. All of that is the same. The only thing different is that I don't know, infrastructure and stuff like that. So and that goes back to my thing saying that we're all just animals wearing people clothes, because we really are we're hungry beasts who need things and want things and have responsibilities, and some of us don't use that power responsibly, by taking it from others or otherwise,
Yeah, using to do harm instead of lifting people up and, while lifting ourselves at the same time.
Right.
And then there's people who literally they do so much lifting of others that all they're doing is pushing themselves into the ground.
Yeah. Just like with the gay community, they overreact to everything. And even just the tiniest little thing, like I can't even say faggot at the club because they freak out. They freak out so much, and it's just like you're gonna have yourself a freaking ulcer if you keep that up. Quit freaking out over the littlest things.
Didn't you tell me about that story?
I love that story. It's hilarious.
I've never. That's like I would be fucking my fat back in shock had I heard that shit.
Well, it's just like with the because to me, I got offended by jokes until I was like, I think 14, 13 years old, maybe 16. I think I was 16 at the time. I was just barely out of the closet or whatever, and I was telling all my friends and stuff like that. And I was hanging out with an elementary school friend, so he had just found out kind of thing, and we were watching Carlos Mencia. And he was telling all these funny jokes and stuff like that. I'm laughing at every single one of them. And then he tells a gay joke. I don't even remember what it was. He tells a gay joke, and I'm just like, freaking gay joke, man. He made fun of me. And then he said, if you could take a dick, you could take a joke. And that shit was so fucking funny. I haven't been offended by a joke ever since. So it's just like...
I find some jokes just not funny. And it's but I can't say that I take offense to them because They are a joke. But I mean, there are some comedians that I ain't got no time for their fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
Well, it ain't funny.
Well, the good jokes and bad jokes come out of the same mind, so there's gonna be the bad ones. But I know what you mean. It's the more offensive it is, the harder I laugh. You know, like racist jokes and shit like that. It's just like, how can you not laugh at something so stupid as racism? Well,
Yeah.
unless somebody got hurt, of course. You know, then it's not really all that funny. But you know, I think racists are funny, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I agree. Like in their own right, they're just so fucking ignorant that there's nothing else you can do but laugh at them.
And everybody's been one.
Because they're really ignorant.
It's a young person thing. And I guess this is kind of off the topic of religion, but racism is easy.
Yeah,
It's really easy because we are pattern-seeking creatures. And in 20 million years ago, we had to determine whether the rustling in the bush is danger or just the wind, right? And if you heard the rustling and thought it was wind, but it turned out to be a predator, you lost, right? If the leaves rustled, you thought it was a predator and it was just the wind, you win. So we're naturally going to go towards the negative because it's safer that way. And when somebody, let's say, gets mugged in the middle of an alley by a black guy, and they're a sensible, not black guy, you know, with innocence kind of thing. I'm just saying they haven't been mugged before, is what I'm trying to say. They're gonna see that black guy and say, I'm not gonna go into an alleyway where there are black people anymore because I got mugged last time. When they should be thinking, I'm not going to go in an alleyway. That's the pattern you should be seeing. But it's easy to see that, and I understand it, you know, because it's like everybody was racist at some point. You can't be, you know, because kids they see patterns, you know, that kind of thing. Maybe I'm just justifying my childish racism, but still, I think it's everybody.
I kind of agree that everyone has like a racist tendencies. So like when I lived in New York, you know, I used to take the subway, and this guy, he said something off, you know, just off the wall to me, and I got offended. I came home. My grandmother was there. She said, "Oh yeah, it's just an old racist white man, white man." And my grandma told me, she says, "No, Russell, you need to stop doing that because you you can't think everybody out there is racist, and you can't just keep saying, oh, the racist white man, because then one day you're going to be looking for a job, you know, you're going to be wanting to get a job, and then next thing you know, you go to the interview, and guess who's going to be there? That white man, you know?" And I was like, okay. So ever since then, I use that.
Breeds racism. I mean, hate breeds hate. It just is what it is.
Yeah, it is. If it is racism, or even if it's not, I use racism as a joke now. Like,
right.
Strictly as a joke. Just like, oh yeah, just because I'm black, you see me walking down the street. Yeah. and it's up to them to either like take that as a fucking like shot at them, because I'm not saying they are. I'm just saying, you know,
to make somebody calm just because they are ignorant as fuck. I hate nobody like that.
Right, pity is reserved for people like that, and you never want to pity anybody because that's mean and it's not right. But you definitely, racism is something to pity. That's for sure.
And at what age is somebody willfully fucking ignorant?
Yep.
Oh,
willfully ignorant. So what's that?
And Big Gay, you have never wrestled with? Hey, I don't kiss and tell, man. But I have.
But like,
I've been ignoring the comments by accident. Spicy Doritos. I got some Doritos.
yeah, I remember. What is it? My grandma telling me that, you know, and I took it as a life lesson. And I only use like, you know, it's because I'm black, you know, as a joke. But I don't know what happened to my grandma after so many years, but I guess it's because she doesn't have to really answer to anybody now. She has her own businesses. She has her own, like, her own employees. She does her own thing. You know, she just goes, you know. I think it's because she, like, I'm telling you, like a whole 180. She just it's because they're racist. I was like, Grandma, did you tell me like back in like when I was 12 not to say that all the time?
They're like, oh, dang it.
Yeah. So I'm kind of laughing at that, but she's the one who taught me to give people chances, to give people the opportunity to be as upstanding as they can be. But it's gotten to the point where I don't know what regressed in her like psyche, but
But
Well,
you
you get tired of it.
than what she was on the inside. We all hide our ugly.
Yeah.
I want my daughters to be better than I ever was, and I wasn't all that great, so they ain't got really hard or much hard work in front of them.
Yeah. Well, it was probably she just forgot. I forget all the time, all the kinds of like most of the stuff I learned as an auditor. It's old news. I've changed my mind since then. Like I don't even know what to do with all those old videos anymore because I'm just like,
Don't you dare get rid of them! I will slap you.
yeah. No, I'm pretty sure. I think the only things I've put on not blog. What is it? Unpublished or something like that. The only thing I've taken down is like opinions that have extremely changed. You know what I mean? Like where I don't have to go back and be like, oh, yeah, I said that, but I don't think it anymore, kind of thing.
Yeah. And that's all makes sense. But you know what? I think we're burnt out on religion today.
Yeah.
I think so. I don't know. Unless we got more topics to talk about religion. I think we're burnt out on religion. I think
I'll tell you my favorite religious origin story.
Sure.
It's actually a tribe, a small tribe in Africa. I don't even know if the tribe exists anymore. But so in every religion, there's an answer to why is there suffering? Why is there this? And why is there pain? And why are we hungry kind of thing? And Christianity answers that as it's God's plan or whatever. This religion, though, there's no redemption. Like with Christianity, the redemption was Jesus sacrificing himself for the sins, right? In this religion, all of existence was underground, and there was no darkness, there was no cold, there was no overheat, and there was no wanting of food or pleasure or any of that stuff. All good. And the creator, whatever it was called, some crazy thing I couldn't pronounce, and made a tree grow, a really big tree, and the people came out from the roots of this tree. And their very first day out there, this whole new world that they've never experienced. And God says, all right, you have free reign of the entire planet kind of thing, whatever they were saying, all the land. Only thing you cannot have is fire. Fire is mine. Fire is for the gods. And so nighttime comes around, and they experience darkness for the first time in their existence. They've experienced cold and hunger for the first time in their existence. So they light a fire. And the God comes back and he says, what are you doing? I told you not to have fire. Now you're stuck here as a punishment. And so the answer to why is there suffering is somebody a long time ago done fucked up, and now we have to deal with the consequences of that. There's no redemption. There's pain and suffering. That's it. I was just like, this is fascinating.
And they still pay for the sin for fathers for generations.
Well, I'm sure they had some kind of ancestral religion.
That's dicks, man. That's a dick move.
Yeah.
What a mythology was that? I heard that one. I know
it's some African tribe. I can't remember which one. I remember all this stuff that I was learning about religion was years ago. I haven't picked up a Bible in so long. I read it a couple times, and that was it for me. I
heard it. I probably heard that story in Greek mythology too. So, but
they're all over the place. There's the origin stories. They're kind of a wish-wash, reuse.
Yeah, they are deeply entwined. They all connect. I mean, it doesn't matter. Pick a corner of the world and look at their origin story, and pick another corner of the world and look at their origin story, and you will be like, dude, look.
Yeah.
You
you have to be divided by mountains and or oceans for it to be any difference. You know, it's pretty crazy. But it's up to you. I actually got to get off here in about 45 minutes, so I still got a little bit of time.
No problem. I actually am going to go ahead and end the stream here. But, it's been good talking with everybody. I do appreciate you guys coming out. Those of y'all who do like to donate to any auditor or anybody who supports our stream, I personally do not take donations, but I do appreciate it if you guys would go to thorn.org. And that, again, is thorn.org. That is an organization that was built by Ashton Kutcher himself. And what they do is help prevent human trafficking, okay? So if you ever go to thorn.org and want to go ahead and leave a donation, again, I'm not sponsored by them, but I do support their cause. Honest Gas, Noli D, if you have any other organizations or anything that you prefer to, shout out, go ahead and shout it out.
Off the top of my head, I wasn't prepared, and I couldn't think of their websites to save my life anyway.
Gas, you got anything?
Only to try and pick up a new hobby. It's always good to have something to do. That's my thing at the end of this.
All right, guys. So go ahead and check out Honest Gas and Noli D. They're two great individuals. I like talking to them. They're great people. Again, I don't have any links right now. I'll probably go ahead and get their links and put them in the description later on today. But thank you guys for joining us. Love, peace, chicken grease. I do appreciate you guys coming out here and talking with us and having a nice discussion. Next time we go ahead and have a discussion, it will be about the riots and protests going around in the U.S. So I think that'll be more interesting. I think more people would like to hear about how we feel about that whole situation going on right now and how it's affecting the U.S. in a whole. So again, guys, come in next time. If you feel like you want to talk and have a discussion, I'll always provide the link in the description, or you can go to the Discord, join the conversation live, and be a part of the discussion yourself. And we can all have a good time and just shoot the shit, guys. That's what I'm saying. Let's have a good one. Love, peace, chicken grease.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.